And welcome back to Patience is a Virtue, the YouTube channel devoted to finding value in future sports wagering. I'm your host, Andrew, and on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the odds to win the 2025 MLS Cup. And I want to take a look at it specifically from the Eastern Conference standpoint and try to find the participant from the Eastern Conference. And that is for two reasons. Number one, because I think there is a vulnerable favorite in Inter Miami. And number two, because I think the Western Conference is very stacked and very even. And so trying to find the winner out of the West is going to be a little more difficult. So I want to target what I believe to be a vulnerable favorite in the Eastern Conference. But let's go ahead and start off by looking at the odds to win MLS Cup. And this is across East and Western Conference. And I'm going to take these odds from Bet365. But I do want to make sure I point out that it is important if you're going to play this market, or really in all markets in general, you want to make sure that you're shopping around, right? These odds are going to be different from book to book. I have already placed 3 different bets in this market, and I got that at 3 different books. So if you find a team or teams that you want to back, make sure you're looking around to try and find the best odds. But again, I'm just going to take from Bet365 just to give you an idea about what these generally are. So Inter Miami is your favorite at 450. Vancouver comes in at plus 700. San Diego FC at plus 900. Cincinnati is plus 1,000. I believe you're able to get them at plus 1,100 another book. Philadelphia is at plus 1,000. I think you can also get them maybe plus 1,100 another book. Columbus Crew at 12s. I believe you can find them at plus 14. Minnesota United at plus 1,200, LAFC at 14s, Nashville SC at 14s, Seattle at 16s, and everybody else is at least 25 to 1. So let's go ahead and then take a look at the standings overall. Now, again, we're going to take a look at the Eastern Conference. As we see currently in the Eastern Conference, we have Cincinnati, who is in first place on 42 points. Then we have Nashville, Philadelphia, Columbus, all teams that are behind Inter Miami in the betting odds. Then we have Inter Miami at number 5. So in terms of their current standings right now, despite the fact that Inter Miami are the number 1 team in the betting odds to win the MLS Cup, they're only 5th in the Eastern Conference. Now let's take a look at the home odds. We're taking a look at it from a home standpoint. We actually have Columbus is first. New York City, surprisingly, is in second place. Then Nashville, Red Bulls are in 4th. Philadelphia is in 5th. Cincinnati in 6th. Charlotte is in 7th. And Miami is all the way down in 8th place. Now, they have played a couple less games than most of these squads, but you really would expect Miami to be able to have a much better performance when they're playing at home. And the way things are going, there's a good chance that in the playoffs, and that's usually a 1-to-1 home and home match to determine who's going to advance to the next round. At that point, the way they're playing, Miami is going to end up having to host first. And if the opponent is able to go in there, get a draw, even steal a victory, they're going to have the second leg at home. And that really should be an advantage and might prohibit Miami from being able to move on. So just another reason why I think Miami could be a little bit of a vulnerable favorite. And then looking at away, Miami actually is a little bit better when they're playing away. But in the Eastern Conference, we still have Cincinnati is in first place on 22 points. Philadelphia is in second on 19. Chicago is 18 points. And then we have Inter Miami in fourth place on 18 as well. So the reason I think Inter Miami is a little bit of a vulnerable favorite is because while they have the best collection of stars, and on paper they probably are the best team in the league, or at least they should be, I really think that they have underperformed in the time that they've been together. They have only been together for a couple of years at this point, but they have not made an MLS Cup final. And it really seems like when it gets towards the end of the season, they ultimately flame out. I think there's a lot of other teams in this league who really operate under the team setting, and it's not so much the stars who are leading them. And I don't know why that would ultimately affect how far these teams are able to progress. But until Miami shows it to me, I'm not going to be a believer in the idea that they're going to go in and win the MLS Cup. Could they? Of course they could. Yeah, they definitely have some of the best players. Messi is still one of the best players in the world. They've got Busquets. And so Miami certainly do have the opportunity to go ahead and win it. But I really think there's a lot more opportunity to try and pick out a different team to go ahead and win the MLS Cup. And if you're thinking about the East, If you go ahead and line up a few other squads, so for me, I've already placed bets on Cincinnati, on Philadelphia, and Columbus. Might go ahead and place a bet on Nashville as well. If you're able to take positions on all these teams, and right now you're getting them at great prices. Again, you're getting them at least 10 to 1 at this point. Miami will likely have to go through at least one or two of these squads to even make it out of the Eastern Conference. In that situation, you really have a great opportunity to be able to hedge no matter which one of these teams makes it through. And if you've got a position on three or four different teams, you really have a very good chance of ultimately having a team who is in the Eastern Conference Finals. Then at that point, if you need to go ahead and hedge out against Miami, you should be able to do that. And because of the prices that you have, you really ought to have enough leeway, enough grace that you would be able to also hedge in the final should those teams be able to make it. Another way that you could play this is once you get to the playoffs, you could take a look at who is going to be the path for each of these teams. And if you want to do a sort of a hedge, you could actually bet on Miami to progress each round. Now, that is a way that you can actually win everything, right? So if Miami just continues to progress, you're going to make money that way. And then if it gets to them playing in Eastern Conference Finals against one of these other teams that you already have a position on, then that team could ultimately win, advance past Miami, and you could ultimately win everything if you wanted to. It really sort of depends on how you want to play it, but in the end, I really do think that Miami is sort of a vulnerable favorite, and I think there's a number of teams who have who've proven that they have the ability to win at home, on the road, and just against Miami in general. And I think it's good to build a position on some of these other teams near the top of the Eastern Conference standings, because when it gets down to it, you're really going to have a great option of having a bunch of teams who are coming right towards the end. And if Miami even makes it, again, you should be able to hedge. And if you get to the Western Conference Finals, I think it should be a fairly close matchup in terms of the betting odds. So you'd be able to bet against one of these Eastern Conference teams as well. I just think there's a very good opportunity for you to make money on this end. And so that's why I'm going to go ahead and take a look at betting a few more of these positions. And I think that's a great opportunity if you're looking to build a portfolio, looking at soccer. This is an excellent chance for you to do that right now, especially with the prices being very long. Do keep in mind that the MLS Cup is late in the year. I believe it takes place in December right now. And so you need to make sure that you understand that this is going to be tying your money up for quite a long period of time. So I wouldn't go too deep into this market. This is something that you just want to slowly follow. Luckily, the games are usually at most twice a week. They play games on Saturday, on the weekends, and then sometimes we have midweek games. But for the most part, you really have a lot of time to kind of analyze this and to build your positions as you need to. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit of Miami just to have it in your back pocket. I'm not going to personally do that right now. I really just like having these other teams. And I like having the betting market really just put their money on Miami. That way you're going to get better prices on all the other squads. So that's how I'm going to play it. That's how I think it is probably the best way to go ahead and approach it, is to try and target the Eastern Conference, try to figure out some of these other teams who really should be there towards the end, and get yourself in a good, solid position where if you need to hedge against Miami, if it even comes to that, you're going to be able to do that. And then you should also be able to hedge in the finals if you choose to do so. And that's going to do it for this episode of Patience is a Virtue. Always remember to gamble responsibly, never bet more than you can afford to lose. And remember, patience is a virtue.